Good evening, Dubai. It's lovely to be with you. My name's Ruth Badley, and thank you for joining my live session. I'd like to thank Dubai Calendar for their support of this event, and also the Junction for giving me the opportunity to do this and for bringing these live sessions to a wide audience, globally, I'm told. So thanks for joining me. I'm going to be reading from my own work this evening. Last year I published my first book, and it's called Where Are the Grown-Ups? And it's a true story about my own family history, and it took shape in Dubai, and I developed and wrote a good third of it in Dubai while I was there. It's about me, and it's about my mother Sylvia and the grandmother I didn't know called Rose. So I'm going to give you a little of the background to the book and read a couple of extracts. And if anyone wants to know more about the book and read some very nice reviews, you can find Where Are the Grown-Ups on Amazon.com and the Book Depository. Now, as we know, many people in Dubai are resident there for a specific length of time, and they may be far from their country of origin. And of all the wonderful expat experiences I had when I was in Dubai, I had the one experience that no expat wants to have. Out of nowhere, the call or the message that cuts through your new life and tells you that a parent is seriously ill and you should fly home immediately. I'd only been in Dubai for 3 months when I got that call. My mother had suffered a stroke and had been taken to hospital in the UK. I flew home immediately, and I was with her for a week before she died. And when I returned to Dubai, I found writing was a helpful way to process the experience I'd had. But I didn't know if I had a story that would make a book when I began writing. My writing started as a response to grief. Now, there was something that you should know about the relationship I had with my mum, because it wasn't a conventional relationship. There was something very fundamental missing in my mother's early life, and this affected her very deeply, and it affected the relationship we had, which was unsatisfactory for both of us. My mother was very unhappy for a lot of her life, and there were clues. When I was a child, I picked up various clues that my mother was leaving, which expressed how unhappy she was. And as a child, I was very affected by what I was witnessing, which was essentially the very slow breakdown of my parents' marriage. And at the age of 7, I'd already decided whose side I was on. So the first extract I'm going to read to you tells you a little of what the atmosphere in my house was like during my childhood. So the time is the 1960s, and the place is London, the suburb of London in the north. And the other thing you need to know is that my mum expressed some of her unhappiness by obsessively cleaning. Mum started her daily routine upstairs with a polishing challenge she was devoted to. The new wardrobes that dominated one wall of my parents' bedroom had doors with a high gloss beige finish, and every day she checked every inch of the surface for stray finger marks. The doors had no handles and shut with a click. They were impossible to open without leaving telltale evidence of human interference that had to be removed daily. She also spent a lot of time arranging and rearranging her clothes, carefully angling each garment on its identical hanger, lest it should make contact with its neighbour, thus causing a crease of disapproval that would necessitate the exercise being repeated again and again. This kind of wardrobe maintenance was usually the prelude to an evening spent trying on outfits in front of the mirror. My parents had been invited to a wedding, and Mum was in 2 minds about wearing a long evening gown. The garment in question had been hung on the back of the bedroom door as a reminder that a decision needed to be made. That evening she tried it on and had a practice run. She was petite and the clingy crepe fabric with a dramatic off-the-shoulder neckline swamped her little frame. I was sitting on the bedroom floor with a book, but I stopped reading when she started applying her makeup because I liked watching what she did. She had a collection of Max Factor pencils, pots and palettes to create the Elizabeth Taylor look. A thick wedge of black colour was applied close to the upper lash line, and then using her finger, a jade-coloured cream was rubbed across the rest of the lid. Black mascara in a small dry block came with an applicator resembling a tiny toothbrush. It all seemed most unpromising until she brought it to life with a bit of spit. The brush was then wiped across the moistened block to transfer enough of the boot black colour onto the brush. With her mouth peculiarly ajar, she stared into the mirror, tilting her head to ensure the brush hit its target every time. She slipped her feet into a pair of silver stiletto heels, and the transformation was complete. After a last look in the mirror, she went downstairs. When the third stair from the bottom creaked beneath her foot, I took my book and followed her down. She sashayed into the kitchen and took up a position in front of the sink, with one foot turned demurely out, like a model posing for a photograph. Dad was reading his newspaper. He didn't look up straight away. "Put that paper down a minute. I want you to look at me in this and tell me what you think." I knew she wanted Dad to tell her that she looked $1 million, that she was the most glamorous, stylish, beautiful woman he had ever seen. He was kind, but he didn't say any of those things. "Oh, right. Very nice. Turn around. It's an unusual colour, isn't it?" Dad was colourblind, so he was already straying into dangerous territory, guaranteed to rile. "Unusual colour? What are you talking about? It's classic French Navy." "Unusual," he says. Mum often called on an invisible third person for impact, but oblivious, Dad blundered on. "Oh, navy is it? Oh, you know I'm no good with colours. It looks sort of brown to me." "Why do you always have to focus on the wrong thing?" "Never mind the colour. What about the style?" "Well, it's very smart. Flattering for the wedding, really." "What do you mean, flattering?" Dad started to flounder. "Well, it suits you." "You didn't say that the last time I wore it." "I don't remember seeing you in it before." "Oh, for goodness sake. I've worn it 1,000,000 times. That's it. It's going. I can tell you think it's frumpy." "When did I say that? Frumpy hasn't passed my lips." "You didn't have to. It's that look on your face." He chuckled at the accusation, trying to encourage her to see the funny side of his hopeless predicament. "What look have I got? I haven't got any look." "You're mad." There was no way back now, and so she flounced out, vowing never to ask his opinion again. He called up from the bottom of the stairs. "The dress looks lovely. What do you want me to say?" Nothing at all. I'm sorry I asked." Dad's slippers swished on the carpet as he trudged back to the kitchen. The sound of his feet made me think he was sad because of what Mum had said. Sometimes she let me have her reject dresses for dressing up, so I followed her upstairs to the bedroom. But there was something else I needed to ask first. She was putting the evening shoes back in their allotted space at the bottom of the wardrobe. "Mum, why has Dad got a mum, but Nana and Papa are your aunt and uncle?" She looked up when she heard the question, and her face still looked cross from the conversation with Dad. "Well, because Nana and Papa are like a mum and dad. They adopted me when I was a little girl. It's time you got ready for bed." I wondered what it would be like to be adopted. I didn't connect it with loss or sadness. Being adopted sounded interesting and special, like an unexpected discovery or a nice surprise. No further explanation was needed because my imagination train had left the station. What if I didn't really belong to this family? Maybe my real parents will come here one day to take me back. It was an exciting idea, but I kept my thoughts to myself because it would make Mum angry if she knew what I was thinking. I knew that every family was different, and everyone else's seemed much more interesting than mine. So thank you for listening to that. I'm going to conclude by reading you a section of the book that I wrote immediately I flew back to Dubai, and I'm hoping that you'll recognise the place that I'm talking about that really reminded me very much of my mother whenever I went there. So this is Dubai in September 2015, and it's a few months after my mother has died and I've flown back. 4 months after she died, and I'm back in Dubai, but my mind is dislocated, disordered, and the tears come without warning. At first, the artificial landscape of the mall has the desired effect. I feel mildly sedated in this synthetically perfumed, temperature-controlled environment. But all the while, my subconscious remains alert and free to roam where it will. Day after day, it leads me back to the one place in Dubai guaranteed to intensify the loss. A display in a fashionably affordable chain store catches my eye, and as if guided by an invisible hand, I select an item on the rail. Inexplicably, I reach for the same elegant cream tunic I purchased months before as a gift for her birthday. It's as if I'm sleepwalking. Awareness, like an electric shock, jolts me back to reality. I slam the item back on the rail and scrabble in my bag for a tissue, hoping no one notices my distress. She was already in hospital by the time the present arrived. So the pleasure I hoped the surprise would bring came to nothing. I stood at her front door, unable to speak as the smiling postman reunited me with the envelope bearing my own handwriting, posted in hope from Dubai several weeks earlier. Mum is not here, nor there, and yet she is everywhere. After the funeral, she followed me back to Dubai and visited me in different ways. Flashbacks of the last day around her hospital bed, silently willing her to breathe, are frequent. Her shrinking frame and the dried blood on her mouth when the pneumonia set in catch me out in the middle of unrelated conversations. Vivid dreams replay the moment she caressed my face and held me in her arms, invading my sleep, waking me, usually close to tears, several times a night. I start to see everything through her filter. She would have loved the lavish consumption of Dubai, the excess, the glamour, the wealth, the status, the upmarket shopping, luxurious hotels and the dressing up. I had so much more to tell her about my crazy expat life out here. When I walk through the souk, I only see the beaded evening bags and costume jewellery that I could have bought her, more pretty things to add to the existing collections we discovered in almost every room of the house. We would never have been permitted to open the door on those neatly placed possessions, much less rummage through them in her lifetime. At first, my brother and I were tentative, reluctant onlookers, paralysed by the extent of it. In one wardrobe, what looked to be a single row of some 20 handbags on a high shelf, neutral colours, strictly arranged from light to dark, left to right, turned out to be 3 rows deep when I stood on a chair for a better look. Opening each cupboard and seeing the absolute order of it all was unbearable. The urge to disrupt was overwhelming, and thinking of it brings me back to that room and the way I sought to punish those lifeless garments. On another day, I came across all the old photographs. Among the many neatly stacked folders of old black and white family snaps, one of myself aged about 3 catches my eye. It was taken in the garden of my parents' first home in Castle Road, Northolt. I have no specific memory of the actual day, though there is something familiar about the toy dog on the path next to me. I return the photo to its correct folder and choose another. In my hand is a black and white image of a different child from another time. Aged about 3, she's pictured sitting on a little stool, holding what looks to be a posy of flowers. Her dark hair tumbles in beautifully arranged ringlets to her shoulders. Her embroidered dress is pristine. Her tiny shoes look new. There's no one else in the frame except this sad little doll with my mother's face, the child and the adult she became alarmingly captured in a single shot. It's a photograph I've seen before. Then as now, I find it unsettling. I think back to the conversation we had when I saw it for the first time. You look unhappy. I can see it in your eyes. Taking the photo from me, she stared at herself, frozen in black and white time all those years ago. I look like I'm missing something, she concluded, handing the photograph back to me. Tucked away behind the old holiday snaps and more recent photographs of her grandchildren is a larger professional head and shoulders portrait of a beautiful young woman in black chiffon and pearls looking straight into the camera. The hint of a smile plays around her mouth and her wavy bobbed hair suggests 1920s glamour. A wow photograph that couldn't fail to make an impression on the viewer. I turn it over, hoping a date has been recorded that will confirm the era and give a clue to the woman's identity. No date, but in Mum's familiar handwriting it simply says, "My mother." Suspended in black and white time a century ago, the clear gaze of a woman in her early 20s looks with hope towards her future and ours. Her eyes and mouth are strangely like my own. The grandmother that never was. And that's the end of my presentation. The picture on the front of Where Are the Grown-Ups is one of the photographs that I spoke about just now, and that is my mother, aged about 3. And in that photograph, I think she is missing her own mother. Well, thank you for watching, and I haven't noticed any questions, but there's probably a minute or two if anyone has got any questions that they would like to ask. It took me a couple of years to write the complete book, and I had to do a lot of research in London after I came back. So I could only do so much in Dubai, but it's always a place that I remember with affection, and especially the Junction. I had lots of happy times there, and I especially miss the Short and Sweet Festival. But the good news is Short and Sweet is coming to a town right near me soon, so I'm looking forward to taking part in that over here when it's ready to go. Sarah Potter is asking how you can buy Where Are the Grown-Ups in Dubai. I know you can get Where Are the Grown-Ups via Amazon.com, and you can get it on Kindle. It is in a paperback form as well. I'm not sure if you can have it delivered in paperback form to the UAE, but you could certainly have it delivered to your country of origin, and maybe it can be sent to you that way, or you can look on the book depository. And Sabir's asking me if I plan to write another book. I'm actually writing another book right now, and it's also a memoir, and it's really inspired by the present health crisis where we can't travel and we can't really, well, certainly not in the UK at the moment, we can't eat out. I don't know if those restrictions are being relaxed in Dubai now, but they certainly aren't here very easily, and not for the foreseeable future. So I decided to write a memoir of travel and eating out because it struck me that those experiences are a little nostalgic for people in the UK right now. So my next book is called Bite Size World, and includes a lot of the wonderful travel experiences and eating out that I did when I was in Dubai. And again, I'm got an opportunity to look back on that fondly. So I hope that will be released hopefully next year, soon after the turn of the year. And I think we all want to see the back of 2020, don't we? So looking forward to, with hope, to 2021. Short and sweet. Love from Short and Sweet to you, Ruth. We miss you as well. That's very nice. It's lovely to see the names that are popping up on my feed. I'd really like to thank everyone that has joined me today. Please stay tuned, because the great Chris McDermott is up next, and I'm sure he has planned something extremely entertaining for you all. So please stay tuned, and Chris will be along shortly. I think this is nearly time for me to go. So if anyone else has got any other questions that they want to ask me before I go, I shall wait one more minute. And I can't see any more questions, but thank you for watching me. And I look forward to, when I can travel, reconnecting with you, some of you, certainly in person in Dubai, hopefully not before too long. Take care, everyone, and stay safe. Bye for now. Thank you.